Hello, I'm Adine Storer, co-director of the Belmont Gallery of Art, and welcome to the fourth and final episode of Artful Nature, Pattern, Color, Texture. This is the exhibit that is in the closed Homer building. I hope you enjoy your virtual visit. The first piece here is by Susan Byrne. It's called Cycles. It's a woodcut reduction. We saw a piece of Susan's work earlier, which was a print of a spider's web hung with droplets of dew like pearls. And the dew is also in this piece, decorating the fallen leaves. I particularly enjoy the contrast between the lined texture of the leaves and the shimmering drops of water. This next piece is by Janice Shupak-Frischkopf. It's called Tropical Fireworks, and it's color pencil and black ink. These brilliantly colored leaves are quite a contrast to the leaves in the previous work. Janice spends 2 weeks every year in St. Lucia in the Caribbean, and she loves the dramatic colors and the large leaves there. So she really enjoys their wild patterns, not New England, Caribbean. And this drawing definitely shows them as big and bold and joyous. Next we have photographer Melissa Moynihan. Both of these pieces are dragonfly wings. One is entitled Dragonfly Wing, and the other is Dragonfly Wings. These photographs are great because they bring our attention to normally unnoticed details. Dragonflies are such stunning creatures. They zip and we barely get a chance to see them, so this is a special treat. Dragonfly wing, this green one, reveals the edge of the wing with a barbed wire-like pattern, and then the rays of light in the golden wing pattern is barely visible, just the edge, the barbed wire edge. And now in this pink one, Dragonfly Wings, it brings us close up to the delicate quality of the golden stained glass-like wings as they shimmer in the sunlight. Emil Tobenfeld took this photograph. It's called Pink Threads, digital photography. Emil says that art is a way of saying I love you to the universe. And taking time to look at something closely and present something that others might not see is Emil's gift to us. This macro photo abstracts nature and reduces it to its elemental colors and textures. This next piece is by Lydia Koenig-Scher. It's called Divine Nurture, acrylic on canvas. This abstract painting echoes the colors and shapes of Emil's macro photo. Lydia describes the painting as vibrating with energy of excitement, hope, and love of divine nurture. Nature's brilliant hues, shapes, and textures celebrate planting seeds of new growth for a new day. I want to give a shout out to the Belmont Art Association for their project Transforming Belmont. This next artist is going to participate in this painting the transformer boxes in Belmont, and here is her piece in Artful Nature. It's a painting of winter trees near her house, and Liz was inspired by recurring patterns in nature, from branching trees to the structure of mycelia to neural networks and social network diagrams, and even potentially the structure of the universe. So this piece highlights these complex connections of all living things. Here we have a monotype called Spring Bounty by Bonnie Lerner. Bonnie describes this piece as beautiful, blousy, abundant blooms. And there is an energy to these flowers that reminds me both of Lydia's divine nurture and Liz's networks. They seem to be bursting right off the paper. The next piece by Bonnie Lerner is Spring Bouquet, which is a monotype collage. And in this collage, Bonnie emphasizes the shapes of the flowers and foliage by cutting out each individual element printed separately and then collaging them together into a bouquet. This piece is entitled Letting Go. It's a mixed media collage piece by Carol Wintle. And Carol Wintle is an artist who has taught collage classes at the Belmont Gallery of Art in the past. And she brought pizza boxes full of sorted images clipped from magazines. So you'd have a whole box of flowers or a whole box of blue water, and it was a wonderful inspiration. So in this collage, Letting Go, there is a similarity to Bonnie's bouquet, the individual elements put together. Carol took all the elements of a garden and created this little retreat that invites you to rest and contemplate natural beauty. One can imagine oneself tiny, like Alice in Wonderland, sitting in the wicker chair in this oversized garden. And next we have two acrylic paintings on panel by Donna Calleja. This first one is called Clementine. And I thought that the bowl makes a nice transition from Carol's circular secret garden. Donna was inspired by the contrast of color of the fruit and the leaves and composing them in a simple bowl, which actually has a wonderful nature pattern right on it. Donna's next piece is called Violet. This piece is a tribute to iconic shapes of nature, the fan of the ginkgo leaf and the Fibonacci series swirl of the snail shell, and then this sort of idealized violet with perfect petals and leaves. And each one of these things has a different kind of a texture. It's a really fun combination. Next we have Jane Coder's Japanese Lanterns, acrylic on canvas. In this painting, the bright darks and greens of the foliage and the shadows contrast and create sort of frames for the brilliant colors and shapes of the flowers. It gives me the satisfying feeling of a beautiful puzzle just finished. Here we are again in Belmont's special rock meadow. Artist Juliette Carrigan painted this oil on canvas. She used particularly color and texture to reveal different layers of foliage, flowers, shrubs, and trees. So there's a real depth to this painting. I feel like you could walk in and smell those flowers. Next is another piece by Juliette Carrigan, two pieces from the Boston Esplanade. Again, Juliette uses color and texture to reveal layers and depth of what we're looking at. We've got the ripples of the water and the bursting spring colors of the flowering trees, and then the bare branches of larger trees behind. All these organic textures and colors pop forward against the geometric shapes of the city skyline. And in another take on the same subject, this is called a Boston Esplanade 4. Juliette contrasts the smooth dome of the hat shell in the midst of this organic jumble of leaves and green treetops. It's a real summer Boston scene. Carolyn May painted this piece called Striped Irises, oil on canvas. And this painting is all about the patterns on the irises, the dark stripes against the pale peach petals, the white lines striping down the dark petals. And then there's a wonderful shape or even gesture to the stems that raise the flowers up like flags. This watercolor is by Derry Paquette. It's called Cherry Blossoms. And using watercolor techniques, Derry created a muted and hazy background on which to depict these crisp, pale cherry blossoms. And their texture is very carefully delineated. It's nice contrast between the muted background and the bright cherry blossoms. Next, we have another one of Janet Klingerman Chow's portraits of flowers. The dramatic spotlight against the darkness is reminiscent of photos from 1930s Hollywood actresses. The high contrast reveals all the shades of pink. You can't even count how many shades of pink there are, and also the flamboyant shapes of the petals. Here are more shades of pink, creating a gradient of smooth, succulent leaves dappled with water droplets. This is a photograph by Becky Holmes Farley, and Becky has a wonderful way of processing her photos that take them just to the brink of abstraction, but not too far. We know here's a beautiful succulent. Here we have another 1930s Hollywood star. This photograph is by Jane Wenzel, and it's printed on canvas. These are stargazer lilies with the light highlighting the tall pistils and stamens and catching the edge of the unfurling petals. And their rich pink really pops out against the velvety darkness of the tapestry behind. Here is some fiber art, a quilt by Judith LeBeau. It's called Art Nouveau Garden, and it's been inspired by the Viennese designer Joseph Hoffmann. He was an architect and a designer, and Judith translated his distinctive fabric design into a quilt and intensified the colors and added the floral motifs. It's almost like the plan for a garden. And next are two drawings by Lauren Meyer, Succulent 1 and Succulent 2. The first one is called Living Stone. The second one is called Topsy Turvy. They are just graphite on Bristol board, but Lauren does a wonderful job of delineating the shapes and textures of these pieces with the varying shades of gray. And also here they are, these succulents are sort of hanging in space for us to admire like an ornament on a tree. And last we have Terry Ackerman's photographs. Terry transformed these photographs into scarves, silk scarves, and she also prints these photographs on tiles. One is Rainbow Swirls, Sudbury River, and the other is Cobalt Swirls, Sudbury River. And these photographs are almost pure abstraction. Terry has taken advantage of the texture and patterns of the ripples in the river to recreate the images of the autumn trees with their own reflections. So how wonderful to be able to wear the Sudbury River and all its reflections as a scarf. Thank you for joining us to see Artful Nature. We hope you've enjoyed the virtual visit to the Belmont Gallery of Art. I would like to thank the Belmont Media Center's Frédérique Rigoleau for the idea and lending us her expertise to create these films.